stronger than the feeling that you get when your eyes are wide open.
Now let's look at who's been running this country since World War II.
Learn the code, see where you live, it's undeniable. You know, long before I knew Gematria or how these things were executed by this code, it was very clear to me that the agenda was Jewish. I mean, how can people not see? You turn on the TV, who's talking to you? Jewish person there, Jewish person there, Jewish person there. You know, big, obvious Jewish conspiracy. To say that the conspiracy isn't Jewish is to just be straight up ignorant or a liar to yourself. You know, who controls pretty much everything? Who controls the money? It's no secret that the Federal Reserve, which controls the money, which controls our lives, is a bunch of private Jewish bankers. Federal Reserve, which controls the money, which controls our lives, is a bunch of private Jewish bankers. You know, we know that money is the blood of this world we live in. And it's clear that Jewish people control it. It's not a secret. Just like it's not a secret that Jewish people control the media. What's having more influence on people's life than media and money? You know? Entertainment? Who controls Hollywood? Jewish people. Who controls the sports leagues? Jewish people. Very obvious Jewish conspiracy. And then you learn Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, and it becomes all the more clear what's going on. Yom Kippur is the most important day on the Jewish calendar year. And, you know, look, again, for months, I told everybody to mark down the date on the calendar. Not to mention, even before that, I told everybody to mark down specific dates, and there's been false flags on all those dates. I know how these people operate. And you can know, too, by paying attention to what I'm teaching you and using the code I've shown to you. It's very repetitive. Now, look, here's the Wall Street Journal. Prime example of media. This article, I'm going to link this article for you in the description. I want you to read what the Wall Street Journal wrote about conspiracy theories surrounding Las Vegas and how they've all been debunked. You know, the Wall Street Journal wrote that all conspiracy theories about the Las Vegas shooting have been debunked, yet Google is allowing conspiracy theorists to, you know, misinform the public. And what this author for the Wall Street Journal calls for is for Google to delete truth content, which they've already been doing. I mean, my channel's been deleted 8 times now since June, and soon enough it'll be 9 times, and then 10 times. They're just going to keep deleting my content because it is too threatening to what they're doing. This author, you know, just when you read the article, he asks for people to only get information from the authority. Remember, authority equals 47, like government, like the 47 degrees on the Freemason compass. He uses the word multiple times. He says people should seek out information only from the authority. And then he calls for YouTube to only allow videos from the authority. It's like, what the fuck doesn't this motherfucker get? Does he understand that the reason people go to YouTube and the internet is because we are fed up with the bullshit lying media? You know? Yeah, let's just make everything so it's just from the authority. It's just so Orwellian, it's so sick, it's so in your face, and people just don't catch on. In this article, he also says, YouTube's still promoting 9/11 conspiracy theories that have all been debunked. What? I mean, where is the evidence that a man in a cave is responsible for what happened on 9/11? Was it when they put his body out in the ocean and gave us a photo of his back? Not to mention, when that happened, you guys, that was exactly to the day 119 weeks after Obama took office. I mean, talk about monumental mocking, right? They confuse you on 9/11. They blame it on Osama, the man in the cave. If you're watching Fox News, they're blaming it on Saddam Hussein every single day. Then your next president's Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, people don't see this. They don't. I mean, that's what's amazing. And that's why the Jews who run it all refer to us as the Goyim. You know, they think we're stupid, and they really do prove that overwhelmingly we are stupid with what they do to us. That's what makes me sick, and that's why I sit here and fight every day to try to level the playing field, to bring people up to par, you know? So here's how I want to close this out. Listen to what I'm saying very carefully. This nation is controlled. The legal system is controlled. The media is controlled. There can be no justice within this nation using the system. There's so many people who want to use the system to get justice, to end the tyranny. That's the most idiotic idea out there. There is only one way to end the tyranny, and that is for the men of this nation to find their balls, instead of filling out their fantasy football roster and getting ready for the rigged games over the weekend, which are rigged by the same Jews, by the same code. Instead of doing all that, here's what you need to do. Go out to your locker that you probably have in your garage that's full of 10, 15 guns. Start waking people up, and we're gonna set dates. We're gonna set dates so the tyrants know what's coming. And what we need to do on a coordinated date across this nation, all of us, we have guns, we have vehicles, we can get to places quickly. Here's what we need to do. We're gonna give them actually a date. And the date is either surrender or you're gonna be fucking murdered because it's war. We're gonna fight the first necessary war in the history of this country. All this bullshit about wars for our freedom, bullshit. Every war that's happened in the history of this nation has been about enslaving us and killing innocents and killing the last people who do have balls and who won't succumb to tyranny. There isn't a single war in the history of this nation that's been about freedom, but that's gonna change. This is gonna be the first war for freedom. And here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna set the date, and this is what the demand is for that date. All of your news media is off the air. All of your print, papers, magazines are out of publication, and your federal government is all resigning. From the president to the Congress people to the senators, they're all done. If not, we're gonna come remove you all with force, with all the guns you sold us, with all the vehicles you sold us. We're gonna show up locked and loaded. And guess what? It's good night. It's good night. We're gonna kill every motherfucker in every single one of these positions, from news anchors to journalists to congressmen to the president. They're all getting 86th because it's written in the Constitution that we have that right to protect ourselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. So if the Constitution's more than a piece of paper, remember the last Republican president said that. He said the Constitution's not anything, it's just a piece of paper. Mr. Bush, the son of a former president. If it's more than a piece of paper, then we have the right to murder these motherfuckers in the name of freedom. Do you understand? If you're about freedom, if you're about ending tyranny, if you got some balls in your pants, this is what's happening. We're setting the date and we're showing up if they haven't met the demand. It's gonna be a slaughter, it's gonna be a one-day war, and the next day there's not gonna be any papers going out. Nowhere in this nation, because every paper is a corrupt piece of shit put out by this Jewish filth tyranny. No papers, no magazines, no news. It's all off the air. From now on, people can think for themselves. They can go outside and watch the birds fly, have some of their own thoughts. Just observe the nature around them, the people around them. They don't need to have their mind controlled with constant fear and programming. It's all getting shut off. People can discover local community. No more federal government to work for, to be taxed by, to slave for. We're getting rid of all of it. There's no more federal taxes. All we do with our federal taxes is build missiles, bombs, weapons, cameras, shit that's meant to enslave us, kill innocents. So that's where we're at, I'm not making any more videos until I finish my book. It won't be long. I'm almost done with it. I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you guys the book release date. Hopefully I'll be able to tell you more about that this coming Wednesday night on my radio program. And after the book's out, I'm going city to city with this message until enough people are awake and we can set the date. I'm saying by 2020 at the latest, this needs to happen. Hopefully before then. But 2020, it'll be here before we know it. And we're going to have that date set. We're going to have enough people awake throughout this nation, throughout this world, that the same thing can be done. I'm talking about starting here in the United States, but this needs to be done all over the world. The same thing's going on all over the world. Here in the U.S., they let us keep the guns. We got the vehicles. We can make this happen. Police and military, if they want to fight back, they're going to be outnumbered. They're going to be outnumbered by a lot. And all of you who are scared of dying, well, then you're not ready to fight the war. You just want to sit on your fat ass and watch some more rigged ball games, you know, be intimidated with some more false flags. You know, you're not going down in the history books. This is what needs to happen. Enough's enough. It's a shame that it hasn't happened already. You know, story about a 16-year-old on 9/11. How have 16 years gone by and there's no justice for the lies of 9/11? This fucker who wrote this article, I hope he's shaking in his boots, along with the rest of these losers. I don't want to see Wolf Blitzer on the air another day in his life. Wolf Blitzer doesn't deserve to be breathing. Same with the rest of these. You know what's in the media. Wolf Blitzer, born March 22nd. March 22nd. 322223, Synagogue of Satan. Go back and look at Wolf Blitzer's story from about 10 years ago, where he says his parents died in the Holocaust. How's that possible? He was born years after World War II ended. He used to have an interview about how he didn't get to know his parents because they died in the Holocaust. He's born years after World War II, you guys, telling you stories on TV about his parents getting killed in the Holocaust. Because the Holocaust is straight up bullshit. Holocaust equals 33. Their favorite number, it also equals 42, just like Adolf Hitler in Hebrew. You know, it began in 42, Freemason 42. So that's the message, Truth Seeker. Enough's enough. It's way more than enough, Truth Seeker. It's way past enough. There's only one legitimate solution. I just told it to you. You're not up for it, you know? You know what to say about yourself if you're not up for it. You're just down for the tyranny.
There's only
All right,
two
until
answers.
next
There's only two ways to fix this, and that's not gold, it's not silver, it's not any type of basket of commodities. It's to do just two things. Number one, you have to eliminate the ability of the federal government to borrow money, because they borrow primarily from banks. So as long as the government is borrowing from banks, you have the very definition of the term plutocracy. And you cannot possibly have any legislation, effective legislation, come out from Congress when they're borrowing from banks. So, as William Jennings Bryan said, without monetary reform, there can be no reform, and he said that in 1896. So then the second thing we have to do is to eliminate the ability of banks to, in essence, counterfeit U.S. money, and this is the same problem worldwide. It's called the debt money system, where all money is created as an interest-bearing debt by commercial banks, instead of the way it used to be, which all money was issued by the governments, the sovereign, for the benefit of all the people equally. That's what we have to get back to. So number one, forbid the government from borrowing money, because they borrow primarily from banks. Number two, forbid banks from practicing fractional reserve lending, which is in essence counterfeiting of the national sovereign money. So once again, it's a question of, is there any effective regulation possible as long as the government is borrowing from banks? And the answer is no. It's all just a giant fake out to make the public think that something effective is being done.
And someone going by the title Gematria Forum here on YouTube wants to know, Mr. Connolly, what do you know about the Judeo-Masonic Mafia?
And, you know, I would like to answer that point about the Judeo-Masonic Lodge. I think I know what it's referring to. But I would rather say to that person, please be aware, and I'm going to have to be careful here. I don't want to get upset. I'm going to get upset. Just give me a second here.
Sure.
Don't change the subject, just answer the fucking question.